restore. So we are here to help you make things right in your world. Thank you.
Get a little closer there,
I
ma'am.
know, right? I'd like either too far or too close to it.
Mhm.
So let's go over. Let's see. Again, don't go anywhere. Apology languages. Today, this is part 2.
Part
We're going to
two.
be talking about the apology languages of regret, and expressing regret and taking responsibility.
Mhm.
But let's go over some announcements first. Emotions and Money class. Homework dropped Sunday, and our first class is tomorrow night, 7 p.m. This is a neat class. We're doing, instead of just an online course, we're doing a hybrid course. And with that hybrid course, what it is doing is some of it is going to be homework and a video, and then we meet 7 p.m. on Zoom for a process group and for education. So I'm really, really, really pumped about it. We also put the course on our new website that we're designing. The website's not ready yet completely, but we put the coursework platform on there, and I'm super excited about it.
Yeah, it looks great.
And it's going to be fun. It's neat.
Yeah.
And also for the course, we were able to do where people could submit their homework online.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of updates we've been wanting to do to the website, but it's been hard to get it all done on the other platform that we were on. So we're working 24/7 almost trying to get it done. Last week we were,
All day,
we were
every day.
going. Christina was putting all the events into the new website, and that is like, it seems simple when people look at it, but
It's so detailed.
it took you a hot minute.
I think it took me all day to do one of
couple
them.
days.
To do some of the events, and then and it's still not done. We still have more events to put in there. We
Yep.
do a lot of stuff.
We do a lot of stuff, and we offer a lot. So,
Yeah.
Emotions and Money class, it starts tomorrow, but I tell you what, if you still want to sign up, if you will sign up, this will be the last day that you can sign up for this. So, if you haven't signed up and you've been on the fence and you're thinking, I don't know, sign up. This is the first in a series of 3 that we're going to do. We're doing the Emotions and Money class. Pastor Earl Gardner will be doing the finance plan, and then Luann Gardner will be doing Investing 101. Man, this is just, and I think the course is $300. It is
Worth every penny.
You will make your money back in spades.
Yeah.
There are so many emotions tied up with our financial choices if we don't untangle that. A lot of times we don't even know that they're connected to something.
Yeah.
So this first course is designed to get you free.
That's right.
So I'm excited about it. Let's see this Saturday. Man, it seems like we're like boom, boom, boom this week. You know what I mean? Some weeks we have a certain pattern. Like on the second week of the month, we do spiritual growth workshops, and it's the second. And then we're starting our Emotions and Money class. We have the live today. Boom, boom, boom. So we have a couple right in a row. But this Saturday, don't miss it. Breaking Free from Chaos at noon on Zoom. You people that are looking for online community, for support, for things like that, you won't want to miss this. It's really neat, the online community that we begin to build, because you can, from the lap of luxury of your own place, just stay there and connect with people. You don't even have to leave your place. Now, we have some events that are in person, but we are, God really put it on our heart to start moving a lot more online. A lot of the content that we have, a lot of the message that we have is, I would say, for a growth-minded palate.
Yeah.
Right? We are for people who love to learn. We are for people who just want to develop that connection and not just learn about spiritual principles, but learn how to apply them to your life so that you are living free.
Yes.
As
I
we
agree.
say, so you will boldly live your purpose. Yes. And also, super excited. Another thing, it just seems like we've been so crazy busy lately. First, getting the Emotions and Money class ready. But also, we're getting ready to premiere our Life Talk show TV show on the Grace Awakening Network.
Yep.
So we're super excited about that.
Mhm.
Even just 2 seconds before we went live, we're like, what about this? What do we got to do this? We got to do this. And just thinking about finalizing the format, how we'll do intros, outros. Like, it's a lot. It's a lot.
It is. There's a lot that goes into it.
But it's going to be an amazing show. We'll be talking about just all things that bring life to you. And I think one thing that you and I both are very passionate about are just some down-to-earth talk.
Yes.
You know, not pretentious,
Let's
not
be real.
religious. Let's just be real. And to be able to be on the Grace Awakening Network is just exciting because then we're running our race with a lot of other people that believe similar to us and believing in grace and that being the focus. So super, super excited about that. What's our TV show's name?
Life Talk.
I don't even have it down there.
I know. I'm like, where is it? Life Talk.
It's so funny because
We just said it.
I kept saying earlier, Grace Talk, but it is Life Talk. And so excited.
I know. It's going to be fun. I'm excited to see what we're going to get to and pump out. And
I know.
I mean, it'll just be interesting to see.
I think that what's really exciting is I think the Lord's really just putting it on my heart, like a vision for it. And I love the vision that he's putting on my heart for it.
Yeah.
To just do fun things with it and to be able to go different places with it. So, and just do, like I said, just bring life to people.
Yeah.
And talk about life. So that's exciting. So we'll move on. We like to always have our little chit chat little session. You know what I was thinking about chit chat today. You know what I want to chit chat about?
What you want to chit chat about?
I want to chit chat about what we just learned earlier today.
Oh, I'm like, there's been so many things.
I know.
Oh yeah. That's
Okay.
what you want to chit chat about?
I do. I feel like we need to tell people about this. Do you feel like
I
we
feel
need
like
to
people
tell
know. I
They
think
might, but we didn't know.
that's true. We're pretty tech savvy for the
Okay.
most part.
This was Christine and I, we were just sitting around and we were going over some things and we were talking and we said, see, my screen is in lock mode and it, because we have confidential stuff, I said it's locked, right? And so I said, you said
Well,
a
you said
word
something that was
sounded
similar.
like Siri.
Yes.
Look, your phones just went off.
She's
See,
like,
when
"What do you
I
want
say
from me?"
Siri, it goes on, and that's fine, right? But what begins to happen is, hold on.
She's still recording you.
Like, this isn't even my phone. This phone is passcoded. Hey, Siri. Call Angie Lynch.
It's calling.
Here, turn that off. Now, what I'm trying to point out is all of our phones are passcoded.
Mm-hmm.
So literally, and even if your phone's passcoded, anybody, like that was the ministry phone. That's our ministry phone.
Yeah, that I
And
carry.
that's not my voice. It's not voice activated for me.
Right.
But yet my voice can activate it and tell it to call somebody. We had it.
I can send you a text through the voice activation and not even get through the passcode.
Yes. And I read.
So
a
I could pick
text.
up your phone and I could tell
Read my
that
text.
girl to call to send a text
Yes.
to someone in your phone,
Yes.
and I would not have to have the passcode to do
No,
it.
you would not. And you could wreck my life. No,
I
I'm
could.
just kidding.
Well, I mean,
So
I could if I made up a lie and they believed it, I guess.
you literally could send anything. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, we trust each other.
Yeah.
But it was shocking to us.
Oh, I
We were
know.
like, surely this can't be.
Right.
And actually, when Susan came in, we meant to grab her phone, but I think she has an Android.
Yeah.
No. Sorry, Susan. But so that might be something that you just want to be aware of. Like
Mhm.
they're like I said,
a little
our
spooky.
phones are very confidential, and we are very serious about that
Mhm.
confidentiality around here. And it was very shocking
Yeah.
to see that could happen.
We're gonna have to change our settings.
We're gonna
or
have to
something.
figure that out.
I'm
And,
sure
and
you can
really,
change your
we don't
settings.
leave our phones laying around anyway. But
I've never had it accidentally do it. You
that
know,
is
but,
crazy. The only
yeah.
reason we noticed is because we said, "Hey," we said something about like, "Ooh, serious,"
Yeah.
or something very similar to Siri.
It wasn't the actual.
And all of our phones, Siri was like, "Yes, may we help you?"
Yep. Uh-huh.
And then I'm like,
Look,
"Oh,
there she goes again.
see." And then I asked, or I said, "I wonder if I can get it to call somebody, tell it
Right.
what to do." And
Right.
we were like, "No, it won't do that." Totally did that. Totally did that.
I know.
I'm still shocked about that.
I know. It's a little.
Like if you
Scary.
have somebody that's kind of a little nefarious, like somebody could just
know.
do stuff.
That could be in the wrong hands of the
It
wrong
could.
people.
So just to make everybody aware, just you might want to take a look at some of the settings, because I think our settings, I don't know, I think they were pretty good, but like
Wow.
we have them passcoded and all all kinds
Everything.
of things, face coded.
Yep.
But that was shocking for
That
me.
was. It was
when
a little bit like, oh gosh.
Yeah. Because even when, like, I remember setting the phone up, like, you have to say, "Hey, Siri, hey,
Yeah, you
Siri,
have
hey,
to
Siri,"
talk
like
into it.
a couple times.
Uh-huh.
So it gave me, I'm not saying it was right for me to think this, but it gave me the impression that, oh, it's tied to my voice, and that my voice is going to be somewhat
Right.
what activates it.
Right.
So it won't go off every time somebody says, "Hey, Siri."
She said, mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Never mind, Siri.
Oh, and now
my
on your
computer's
computer.
getting in on the action. Okay, let me set it back to do not disturb. We're in do not
We have
disturb.
one more thing before you move on.
No,
to talk
will.
about.
I know,
you
I
got
know,
it?
I know, I
Okay.
know.
I just got a text
Did you get a text? a
From-
reminder?
from his mama.
Oh.
Mhm.
Are they watching?
Not right now. No.
Okay. We had already planned. What did she text? Did she text?
She said I called to talk to him, and they're at Urban Air, celebrating right now. It's Tristan's birthday today.
It's
Tristan's
Tristan.
birthday.
It's his
And
birthday.
he always watches with his mom, and
Yes.
they're usually online watching live. So happy birthday, Tristan!
Happy birthday.
But he is at Urban Air right now. Let me show you. She sent a picture.
Aw, he's so cute. Tell her,
so
make
cute.
sure that she watches.
I
that
will.
We gave
Yeah, I'll let
Tristan
her know. She
a
said she'd
shout
call me
out.
back later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just love little Tristan. He's
I
so
know.
cute and
I
he's
know.
so awesome.
He's so fun. He always wants to pray.
I know.
Like anything happens with his mom or anybody, he's
Pray.
insistent that we pray. So he's so cute.
so happy birthday.
Mhm.
Happy 11th
11.
birthday
Yes.
to Tristan.
Happy birthday, buddy. We love you.
Yes. Mwah. So, yes, we can't forget that.
No.
And let's see, what else were we going to chit chat about? I'm still blown away by the phone thing,
I know.
and really blown away that Tristan's 11. That
I
blows
know.
me away
My
too.
gosh. I moved in with her when he was like 3.
Gosh,
I know.
that's crazy.
I know. It's insane. 3
Yeah.
years old.
Yeah,
I feel like I've just known him, his whole life. So
yeah.
it's exciting every time he has a birthday.
I know.
He's doing really good too.
Yeah, it's a neat day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just excited. I'm just thinking of all the things that that God is doing.
Yeah.
Just excited about everything that
Me
He's
too.
doing.
We've got a lot of fun stuff coming up. If you can, get online and join the Emotions of Money class.
Yes, that's gonna just break bondages.
100%. It'll change
Get
your
free.
life.
Get free. Get free. Okay, now to apology languages. Let's
Yeah.
talk. I wanted to review a little bit before we got started.
Okay.
And I'll say apologies are so important, because with the apology languages, we talked last week, just to back up a minute, about a little caveat to where a lot of times when we think an apology is needed, it's not, like if I stub my toe, I don't have to give an apology. Like, apology. Like sometimes we get a mindset that if I get hurt, somebody owes me something. Somebody owes me an apology. And if you're in the emergency room with your relationship, apology languages aren't going to do a whole lot for you. They're not going to hurt anything, but it's not going to get and deal with those deep wounds. An apology isn't going to heal a deep, deep wound. But what it will do is if you're consistent in how you steward your relationship with somebody, then it really does speak to a consistency of connection, a consistency of just really staying dialed into it. If you are respectful, it's hard to get too off course. What begins to happen, I would say, if we're not using apology languages, love languages, we tend to let disrespect creep into our relationship. And when disrespect creeps into your relationship, it's really hard to get that back. So a lot of times people come in and they're like, if you think in terms of a hospital, they want to come in and they're like in critical care, and they think that like an apology language is going to fix it. No, it's not, because you have to really dig in. Now, as part of your everyday relationship maintenance, it's fantastic. It's magical. And I will say, the consistency, if you just make this a part of your life, learning how to apologize. We talked last week about, even if you don't know what somebody's apology language is, if you will hit all of them, then that's good. Because actually, we were talking a little bit about this earlier, we really do need all the apology languages to have a full apology, to make us feel seen and to feel heard. But at the same time, you have one or two, usually particularly, that opens up your heart to hear. You know what I mean? Like if you're mad and you're just like, and somebody, like we were talking about a situation earlier today, and we were like, it would be nice if they could just say, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like just acknowledge, like for this particular situation, and it wasn't a big situation.
Right.
But they made no acknowledgement.
Right.
That, in fact, not only made no acknowledgement, kind of blamed us.
Yeah.
And then it's just
Uh-oh.
You know what? Parker is set to come through on
Oh, even if you're on
even if I'm down to, he's a VIP. So he comes through.
Aw.
Even on Do Not Disturb. So he's part of the live now. But instead of them just acknowledging it, they made no acknowledgement to us.
Right.
Nothing.
No.
And in any way,
the
shape, or form.
inconvenience or
just
nothing.
And we were talking about it would be nice if they just would say a simple, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like anything, like, oh, I hate that it inconvenienced you.
Right.
Hate that, gosh, I hate that y'all had to go through that.
Well, I think so many people attribute sorry to fault.
I know. And if you are a blamer, you have a hard time with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I will say the person we're talking about is a blamer.
Yes. And it wouldn't be their fault.
It was really,
but it would be nice
fault.
if they would have acknowledged and
because it was their,
I'm so sorry for the responsibility.
Yes, because it is their responsibility. It was their responsibility to take care of the thing.
Right.
And if they just would have made some bit of acknowledgement, it would have left a less sour taste.
Absolutely.
In our mouth. Yeah.
Yeah. But people just, man, they really struggle to apologize.
It really does. And but does it affect relationships? This one we're talking about it's no big deal.
Right.
But if you're in an ongoing relationship with somebody, it's really, really, really important.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
And so you need to know somebody's apology language, because you want, like I said, one little thing isn't going to fix it all, but you need to speak and get back in that door. And I made a couple notes here, because the goals of apology language are to begin the restoration of the relationship and to reconnect. It sucks to be hurt, especially in an ongoing relationship. It's one thing like if your electric company inconveniences you, but if you're in an ongoing relationship, then, man, like it's like, it hurts to be disconnected to somebody that you really want to be connected to.
Yeah.
And so usually it isn't, we don't really believe in fault in that sense around here. Like with the relationship, it really should be, do you care? Do you care that I'm hurting? Relationships, there's not a lot of I'm right or I'm wrong. If you make a relationship about right or wrong, it's really going to put a strain on a relationship. Even though in apology language, like if I do something that's clearly out, like say if I was going to go on a date with my husband and I forgot about the date and I didn't meet him, I didn't show up for lunch. Like obviously, like when we're talking about right or wrong, like I'm at fault. Like that's my response. Oh gosh, I really missed the mark on that. But then, so I need to apologize for that. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. That's totally on me. We had a date and I totally forgot about it. It slipped my mind. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. What can I do? I'll stop right now and go meet you.
Yeah.
And so, but if you have deep wounds that you haven't healed through apologies, like there's not been a restoration or a reconnection in a relationship, it's not going to really do a lot of good, because then it's going to just sound like they're just saying that. They're not really doing anything. They're just saying. So remember, the goal of apology language is not going to heal a deep wound, because if you have a deep wound, there's a lot of disrespect and a lot of hurt and a lot of baggage and history behind that. But if you will begin to incorporate it into your life, you won't be adding extra damage. And the consistency that you show concern when you see that you've hurt your partner, it does begin to make a difference.
Yeah.
Let's see. We each have our own apology language. Your apology language is your gateway to healing. Again, everybody has like that kind of first door, like, okay, you got my interest, tell me a little more. It just kind of softens our heart a little bit, and then it opens us up to hearing and receiving what the other person has to say.
And it's just a good practice to apologize.
It is.
To be someone who is quick to be like, I am sorry, and take responsibility, and like let's get past this. Let's not just stay stuck because we don't want to apologize.
Exactly. And I mean, I love that you said quick to apologize, because a lot of times I think the more mature we get, the faster we get to that point.
Yeah.
Instead of, maybe in our younger, more immature years, we're like, oh.
But I'm right.
What
I don't need to. Let me tell you why.
Eventually, you get to a point where I think that it doesn't, right and wrong don't really matter. What matters is I care about this person and I would never want to hurt this person. And so that becomes very important. But also just with maturity, I think things come into perspective.
Yeah.
Like the older you get, and spiritually and chronologically, I think you just get to a point where something major happens in your life and you're like, gosh, in comparison and perspective, like that's not that big a deal.
Right.
And we just get faster and faster at wanting to reconnect to the people that we love and to the people that we care about. So I think it becomes important. So the two languages we're talking about today are expressing regret and taking responsibility. So let's start with expressing regret. My sacrifice, oh God, is a broken spirit, a broken and contrite heart. God, you will not despise. Psalm 51:17. Now, for expressing regret, to me, I think it's the easiest one. The phrase that kind of goes with expressing regret, it's easy. I'm sorry. And remember, kind of like a caveat for all of these apology languages is body language matters. If I'm like, I'm sorry, like if I'm rolling my eyes, then that doesn't really count.
Right.
Like
you need the sincerity.
Sincerity is so important with all of these. And I always say, like say with newspapers, sometimes you get these big headlines on the front page and they're like, so-and-so murders so-and-so. And then it turns out not to be true. And then they do they retract it on the back page and not
in tiny print.
Yes. If you make a big deal about something, or your how you've hurt somebody is large, make an equally big deal with your apology, because intensity does matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if I accidentally stepped on your toe, I'm like, oh gosh, I'm so sorry. Are you okay? But if I did something horrible, like that's going to take more than just a little bit of, a small apology.
If you stabbed me with a knife accidentally,
oh my gosh.
I can't. You might need to apologize a little bigger.
Oh yeah, I would be traumatized if I did that. How would I ever stab you?
I don't mean like stab. I mean like accidentally.
People are like, "What's going on at this ministry?"
Well, you said step on my foot. You wouldn't do that either.
Well, I meant like I accident.
Well, you could accidentally stab me.
I hope not.
But trying to come up with an extreme example.
The minds of some people, I'm saying. I guess I could be holding it and slip, but even that's hilarious. Even if it's an accident, like it would totally be an accident if I slipped on your toe or stabbed you. Totally be an accident. Said every criminal ever, right? But if I accidentally step on your toe, I mean, some people, when we talk about, like you were talking about fault, it would be hard for them to apologize.
Oh, yeah.
But so even things like that, oh, I'm so sorry. I would never, because why? Because I would never want to hurt you. And obviously if I stabbed you, I would never want to.
Well, people always want to look at, like we talk about fault. Like, let's say you're late and it's because of traffic. Yep. And you're like, well, I'm, you show up and you don't say, I'm so sorry I'm late. The traffic ran me behind me. You just say, I was late because of traffic.
It'd be like.
And you're like, well, I don't need to apologize because it's not my fault. I didn't know there was going to be traffic.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not about fault. It's just.
It's courtesy. There's a respect in conversation and taking ownership. And it's not just like me, and the whole world revolves around me.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people will not, kind of like our event today that we had where the person just clearly was not going to offer any acknowledgement or apology or anything. It's just weird.
Yeah.
Like it's like an elephant in the room, and it's just, it's not that, I mean, we're people that will move beyond it. We don't have to have an apology for it.
No.
But it just is weird. Like it's odd. It feels disrespectful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the key points about expressing regret sincerely, and the phrase that typically goes with it is I'm sorry. And I will say expressing regret is my primary one. And to me, it's easy. Just all you have to do is be sorry.
Yeah.
But like I said, that where it tends to, who we tend to balance our lives out with are people that have like kind of like an opposite balance. So sometimes people, again, have a hard time saying I'm sorry, even if they're, it's not about blame or anything like that. It's just like I didn't do anything wrong. If I didn't do anything wrong, then I don't need to say I'm sorry. And it's not about right or wrong.
So let me ask you this with this one. If someone apologizes in a different way, but they don't use those words specifically, I'm sorry, do you need to hear I'm sorry?
Yes.
You need to hear those words.
Those I'm
they
sorry.
Could say, I was so wrong about that. I got that wrong. That doesn't.
That would mean nothing to me.
You need to hear I'm sorry.
I need to hear I'm sorry.
Okay.
Now, like I said, and sometimes we need all of them the same way.
Yeah.
We at some point we have to walk through all the doors. So I'm sure there's some situation where I would need somebody to accept responsibility, because that's accept responsibility.
Yeah.
Because accepting responsibility is important to me. But if you don't go through the door of expressing regret, because here's kind of, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong. This is just, we each have our own apology languages. If you're not sorry for what you did, you're probably going to do it again. In my eyes.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't know that hurt me, and if you don't care that hurt me,
to acknowledge
then it feels disrespectful, and it's going to happen again.
Yeah. I will say another word, I think for you that I think works is I apologize. Yes?
Yes, I would say that.
To me, it's the same as I'm sorry, but it's not the exact words, but I apologize.
Yes, because similar thing, and I'll say this one is important to me. I'm sorry for.
Oh yeah.
Like I like because what it does is it helps me understand that you know what you're sorry about. Like, you know what I mean? A generic, oh, I'm sorry. Well, but why are you sorry?
Mhm.
Do you understand what hurt me?
Mhm.
That's important to me.
Yeah.
And so for some people, it's not. For some people, they just need to hear, I'm wrong. You know, we're going to talk
Right.
about that one in a minute.
Right.
Just, they don't need you to be sorry. They don't know. They don't care. They just need you to know you were wrong.
Mhm. Take your sack of sorries and go.
That's right. And so that's why I said, whoever you are in an ongoing relationship where you want to maintain connection,
Mhm.
you better figure out real fast. What I would say, I think apology languages are even more powerful than love languages.
Oh, I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when you are hurt, you shut down the
Mhm.
the connection, the relationship, and you need the apology to bring it back up.
Yeah.
You could pour out all the love languages, but if that connection is broken and you don't go through
it's
the
not received.
apology avenue first,
Exactly.
you're wasting your love
Exactly.
trying to pour out your love.
Yeah. And everybody can have a certain amount of tolerance. You know, kind of think about it like your bucket. But once your bucket
Yeah.
gets down to a critical, just like with your love languages, once your apology bucket, like somebody could do several offenses in a
Mhm.
row, but once your bucket with that person gets to a critical low point, then it's like that's when that offense starts to build. That's
Mhm.
when that tension, that's when that disconnection, like they no longer have extra in their bucket, extra in the bank. They don't have credit with you anymore in that area. And that's really when it starts to dip into the negative.
Yeah.
And
I remember with a past relationship,
Mhm.
there's a certain scenario I can remember. We had like a little mini altercation, nothing, like, not a big
Mhm.
fight. When I say altercation, it was just like
a
a little
fight.
a little
She
argument,
threw
I
down.
guess.
Was there a knife
we
involved?
didn't really sound like a
Is that where that
stabber.
came from?
I'm like altercation, like there was like no, we really didn't.
Were the police called? Just-
No, that's how rumors get started.
that is true.
We really didn't argue much, but there was like an incident, and I didn't know how to go back and bring
Yeah.
it back up because
Yeah.
it was my bad.
Yeah.
It's something I should have gone back and repaired.
Yeah.
But I didn't have these skills when
Yeah.
I was in that relationship.
We don't ever start out with them. We
Yeah.
really have to learn them.
I didn't know how to break the tension enough to go back and say, hey, look,
Mhm.
I messed up and
Mhm.
I apologize and I shouldn't have handled it that way. And
Yeah.
I had no clue how to do that. So I just did nothing. It wasn't good.
How did that work?
Not very well. And we were very disconnected. And I don't know how we ended up
Yeah.
getting reconnected again. I'm sure
Yeah.
we just glassed over it, I'm sure.
And that's another key point that you bring up.
Mhm.
Sometimes when we don't know what to do and we don't know how to restore that connection, we'll do nothing.
Yeah.
Just out of feeling awkward.
Yeah.
And almost that's the worst thing we can do.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean,
Like,
I
but
would-
there's a lot of, I would
Mhm.
say, avoidant people, you know, specifically talking to you, people with avoidant attachment styles, that they will just be like, I don't want to bring it up again because I don't want to talk about it. I don't
Right.
want to bring it up again. It's not that they're not sorry. It's not
Right.
that they're not.
well, let's just move on.
They're just like, if we just don't talk about it, it doesn't exist.
We'll just move on. Well, that's kind of how we just, in my house, we just moved on.
Yeah.
Something happened and we just moved on.
Nobody
So
talks about it.
That's what I
Nobody-
did in my
yeah.
relationship. And it didn't go very well.
It's kind of like,
But I wish now. I think about that moment and I'm like, now
it could
I
have.
would, no problem.
Yeah.
I would have repaired it the next hour.
Mhm. And that's, I mean, as we grow, we begin to do that. Kind of like with their situation we were talking about earlier, because most of that was like over text.
Mhm.
They kind of came back and was like, well, and moving on, blah, blah, blah. You know,
Mhm.
like it was that same thing. But we all do that
Yeah.
out of, I don't know what to do. So I would
Yeah.
encourage everybody, do something.
Yes.
You know, and that's kind of what you're talking about with with the lesson that you learned there. Like, you're like, man, I wish I would have said something or done.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to do
Oh,
now
yeah,
that
now.
you are in the habit of doing it.
Yes.
But it'll never get easy to do if you don't start it. I mean,
Yeah.
because we've all done that. I've done that. You've done that.
Yeah.
Y'all
It
have done
happens.
that to where it's like, I don't know what to say, so I'm going to say nothing.
Right.
Another time where that happens a lot is during like funerals, or somebody passes away and
Mm-hmm.
you don't know what to say, so they want to say something. That's why I'm saying, like, with apology languages, what's neat about that is with apology languages, you can begin to see somebody's heart.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really the goal, is that you put your guard down and you put your heart out there. Because a lot of times people want to reconnect when tension is there or disconnection, but we just don't know how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's important.
Yeah, I mean, how else do we get back there, you know? And
Yeah.
also, I will say this. If you're embarrassed by your behavior, man, you just want everybody to just forget that happened and let's just
be
move
like,
on.
moving
You
along.
certainly
Do
don't
we
want
have to talk
bring
about
it back
this?
up. Oh, gosh. It can feel brutal, but then afterwards, you feel
Mhm.
way better. It's like working out.
Yeah. But I will say, if you mark that behavior with an
Mhm.
apology, when you take ownership, when you take responsibility of your behavior, when you're uncomfortable or you act less than, you're much less likely to act like that again.
Yeah, that's true.
Because you remember the discomfort of having to take ownership in the ickiness. It's like, oh, I don't like that I
Mhm.
behave that way. But when you respond, it's not so much what you do, it's how you respond to it afterwards.
Yeah.
And when you take the responsibility, it's kind of, I remember when our youngest son, he threw a rock and it hit the neighbor's car, and we took him over there. And even before we took him over there, I think it was either Rob or I think it was myself. I went to the door and I said, my son's going to come and he's going to apologize for throwing that rock. And if you will please not tell him it was okay. If you will please just tell him thank you for your apology.
That's a good
I would
idea.
really, really appreciate that, because we're just trying to, impress upon him that, like when we do something, it's not, we can come and we can apologize for it. And I don't want you to tell him it was okay, because it wasn't okay that he threw the rock.
Well, that's a good note, because we haven't really talked about that, and I'm sure we will later, about
Yeah.
how to respond when someone apologizes, because we do say, "Oh, it's okay,
It's okay, it's fine,"
It's
and we dismiss it.
yeah, especially if we're over it and
Mhm.
or it just really didn't bother us,
Yeah.
but they feel like I need to apologize,
Mhm.
and they're like, "It's fine."
And I think that we don't know. You're right. That's a good point. We need to
Mhm.
make sure that we circle back around to how to receive apologies, because most people, out of uncomfortableness of somebody apologizing to them, they say, "Oh, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay,
Right.
it's fine, it's fine, it's no big deal." And honestly, sometimes we apologize for things that nobody needs to apologize for, but at the same time, it's nice that people care, like
Yeah.
that expression. But when an apology, like, obviously it was wrong that my son threw the rock. He should apologize.
Yeah.
And and the person should be able to say thank you for
Yeah.
that. I appreciate that. I worked hard for that car, and like, I don't like it scratched up. I don't like people throwing rocks at it.
I prefer that you didn't do that.
That is 100% a
Yeah.
legit response.
Mm-hmm.
But we, out of niceness
Yeah.
and uncomfortableness, don't like to say things like that. But it's
Mhm.
true, and we should say
Right.
things like that more often.
And it's interesting, the more we're talking about it,
Mhm.
it's like we get uncomfortable when people apologize, but the more we're talking about it, the more I'm hearing sometimes going through the apology process creates a lot of intimacy, it sounds like.
It does.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And in our intimate relationships.
Absolutely.
People equate intimacy with a lot of other, like,
Mhm.
romance, I would say. But this also, repairing things,
Yes.
creating that connection to come back
Mhm.
together,
Yeah.
deepens your intimacy with each other.
It really does. And the consistency, like, it builds a trust in relationships that if I do something less than who I am, I'm going to come back and I'm going to take ownership for it, and I'm going to own it, and I'm going to express regret, and I'm going to take responsibility, I'm going to make restitution.
Mhm.
I'm going to apologize for that. I'm going to, I'm going to deeply regret things,
Yeah.
and I'm going to take responsibility for that, and I'm going to change my behavior over it. And all of that does build that intimacy. That's a very, very good point. It builds
Yeah.
the intimacy, and it builds
Trust.
like, I can count on you.
Yeah.
I can tell you things that have hurt me, and you will respond in a kind and a loving way.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's huge in keeping connection
Yeah.
together.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So think about like say, I'm just going to say for me, because expressing regret is my number one, but I think it's your number one
Yeah,
too.
it mostly is. I will say this and the next one we're going to talk about, I mean, really,
Mhm.
they're very tied together for me.
Yeah.
I kind of need both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, man. 'Cause
I know. You're
but,
like, ooh.
but see, that's the funny thing is that it's so individual to each person.
It also depends on the
It,
relationship.
it depends on the relationship, and I think it
Mhm.
depends on what it is
100%.
too.
100%. Because there's
Yeah.
some people that I don't need to hear sorry from, and there's some
Mhm.
people I don't need to hear regret from
Yep.
in some scenarios.
Mhm.
And then there's like, because I've been thinking about this a lot this week, since we've been talking about it,
Mhm.
I've been kind of paying attention more to
Yeah.
it. And like my grocery order got messed up the other
Mhm.
day, and they were very apologetic. They were like, "Oh, we're so sorry," but and it was frustrating to
Yeah.
to get it fixed because I had to call several times. But I didn't need them to apologize. I really just needed them to restore it. I needed
Yeah.
them to fix the problem.
Yeah.
I really didn't even care. I wasn't
I
upset.
don't care if you're sorry because
I-
you're HEB, and I don't care.
Yeah, I don't. I mean,
We
not-
love HEB, by the way.
'cause
I love HEB.
I do. Yeah, I was not upset that it
Mhm.
happened. I just needed you to fix it.
Yeah.
That's all I need you to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's a good point to where it really it does depend on the
Mhm.
type of relationship. So for me, I want to hear I'm sorry, and I want to hear a specific I'm sorry. I don't want to
Mhm.
hear a generic. If you hurt my feelings very specifically,
Mhm.
I want you to specifically express to me how you hurt me, because
Mhm.
then, or ask me, well, really, what about that hurt you?
Mhm.
Because to me it's about understanding, and if
Yeah.
you understand that, it's not likely to repeat itself.
Mhm.
So in that, to me, it's almost, if you express your regret, it's almost like changed behavior for me. Like if you did it again, then that, you know what I mean, then I would go more into the, I'm going to need some changed behavior. Don't tell me I'm sorry.
Oh,
And
I
that-
can see that.
And that's a good point too, is that if a behavior is repeated again and
Mhm.
again and again,
Mhm.
I think probably what you need from that becomes a little bit different each
Yeah,
time.
I've done that before. I think I've made like the same mistake again,
Mhm.
forgetting something or not, something that needed to be repeated. And
Mhm.
I think I said, "Oh my gosh, I forgot again. I'm so sorry. Next time I'm gonna set an alarm, or next time I'm
Yes.
gonna do this to let you know
Mhm.
how I'm gonna."
Fix it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is interesting because it was just kind of a natural
Mhm.
segue.
And that's why the better you get with people, the better
Mhm.
people skills you have, you will do this completely naturally.
Mhm.
Like if you notice if you give somebody a really great apology, or if you even look in the media, a celebrity releases a public statement,
Mhm.
I guarantee you it's going to hit all of these major apology languages, because we just tend to do that when we have the better social skills we get,
Mhm.
and the
Yeah.
better relationship and the better connection skills that we have. Now, remember, also, it needs to be rooted in emotion. Like, I need
Mhm.
to know that like, I want to see a little bit of emotion after you.
Mhm.
I don't want you to launch into a logic explanation of what happened. Like,
Mhm.
I'm smart enough to figure out logically what happened. I want to see a little bit of emotion in there. I want you to acknowledge that it hurt my feelings. I want you to acknowledge that it hurt me. And honestly, like, I think a really great point in with this one is, I wish I could do it over. If I could
Mhm.
do it over, part of expressing regret, if I could do it over, I would do it differently.
Yeah.
Like, is that important for you too?
Um.
In this, it's very important to me.
Depends on the situation.
Yeah.
Not most of the time. I don't
Mhm.
need to know that you would do it differently.
Yeah.
Because I've had someone apologize to me before like that, and I was like, for me, it's like the damage is done. I'll
Yeah.
forgive them,
Yeah.
but
See, that's probably we're moving into restitution.
okay,
Yeah. Because a lot of times with restitution, there's just certain things you can't restore.
yeah.
Like, you can't fix things.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. And it's
Nope.
interesting, you'll notice with different
Yeah.
people, you will have different
I
requirements.
will say, yeah, because there's a particular scenario I'm thinking of, and
Mhm.
this person apologized, and they're like, if I could go back, I wouldn't have done it that way. And I thought, but you could still do something to fix that now. And you, I
Give me
needed
restitution.
yeah, it's interesting. I never thought of myself as needing
Yeah.
restitution, but in certain cases, yeah.
And I think too, like the level of hurt you have with the person.
It was a deep hurt, yeah.
I was gonna say, and if you have repeated hurts, it really does shift things in how apology languages work. That's what I'm saying. If you just learn these and you keep these up and you keep the hurt cleared out, you have a completely different relationship, and it becomes so important. And part of, I think, I wish I could hit the do-over button is I would make a different choice. Now, for expressing regret, here are we're going to do some do's, don'ts, and some examples. I think what's really important is express it sincerely. You know, we talked about that. That's really for all of the apology languages. Be specific about what you regret and address the emotional wound. Like, don't just make it about the event or the situation. The more specific you could address the emotional wound, the better. Don't avoid saying I'm sorry. And do not delay saying that you're sorry. A lot of times, I mean, does that resonate for you too? Like when people are like, do it quick, do it right away.
No, when I think more of like with you.
Yeah.
When we talk about this, I don't think more. I don't know.
You don't think what?
I don't have a lot of people trying to knock down my door to tell me they're sorry.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like, it's shocking how many people are not very good at it.
But that's where a lot of times people, if we look at our society, we are a very disconnected society. Like you're right. There's not a lot of people trying to say, I'm sorry.
So when we talk about this, I think of my experience in our relationship, because I think we're probably the relationship I've, just practiced because it's safe, practiced the most.
Yeah. And I think we're like very connectable people.
Yeah.
And for what we do,
we have to.
If we had like a disconnection or a fight, it'd be showing up on camera.
Right.
And you know what I mean? And just at ministry and having to work together so closely, it's so important for us specifically to keep things cleared out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But gosh, if I ever hurt you, I'd be like, oh my gosh,
oh,
I'm so sorry. Like I think
me too.
you and I both are very, very sensitive to that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I do understand the quick, like, don't delay, don't drag it out. Yeah. I mean, go ahead and repair it.
To me, like I would say, and like if, and I would say, if it's something like, and you would never do this, but if you like really hurt my feelings and you knew you hurt my feelings and you're like, I'm not gonna, I'll talk to her tomorrow about this. Like that would really bother me.
Yes.
Like if it's a big hurt and it's not acknowledged, that really is a problem for me. But I mean, I've seen sometimes like you've called me like on your way home.
Oh yeah.
Or I've called you on your way home, and just to clarify, like I think that makes our relationship stronger.
Yeah, no, I agree.
To be able to just not even let it fester, not let it go there, not let anything get in your head. The enemy is always trying to get in your head about things, and just to not let him get in your head, and just to clear things out right away.
Yeah.
But I think one of the hardest things with that is sometimes you have people who process outwardly and you have people who process internally. And I think a lot of times people who process internally, on the outside, it looks like they're not quick to apologize.
Yes.
So there's like with couples, we really have to educate them on, okay, I know that you need some time to process that, but just go ahead and say, I'm sorry. I'm still processing through this. I want to have another conversation with you, but I just wanted to acknowledge, I know that I hurt you and I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And then, you can come back and you can have part 2 of that conversation. But just to go radio silent is usually offensive to most people, unless you're an avoidant. Then you're like, yes, we don't have to talk about it.
Well, I will say, you're quicker at processing things than I am typically.
I'm more outward. Like I'll process out.
Yeah, but it does take me longer.
Yeah,
I really have to think through a scenario and dissect it in my mind.
Yeah.
And then
I'm
I'm
like,
like,
that was so
oh,
last
okay, I
week.
get it. I know.
That was
You're
so
like-
5 minutes ago.
I'm like, it was yesterday.
Be like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And so just knowing like the pace, the intensity, and like if you really hurt somebody, you better get in there fast. But,
Yeah.
you know, if it's just like a minor thing, well, I don't know. I just can't imagine not doing it
Mhm.
immediately when you recognize it.
Right.
For me,
Right.
personally.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I
And
agree.
so-
Once you see it.
Yeah. And I would say so that, you know, that's another point of where, apology languages are in that you, like, what is that person's pace? What did that person process outwardly, inwardly?
Mhm. Their
things
personality.
like that.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like I'd say my husband's an internal processor. And I think, sorry, honey, I know he's listening in. But he knows we've talked about this. But early on in our marriage, like he's an internal processor, so he would not say he was sorry. And then he's more like restitution and accepting responsibility. So if he didn't feel that he was wrong, he just wouldn't apologize. And we had to work through, just as like with mine, like to him, I'm sorry is nothing. Like that's a cheap word. Don't tell me you're sorry. Show me, and so you have to really work and evolve your relationship to make, to keep that connection and make it
Yeah.
grow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say too with this, because this is like your number one, but
Mhm.
I will say like in my experience with, like once we talk about it and you hear and I'm sorry and
Mhm.
you feel like it's heartfelt, it's
Yeah.
you're done. You move
I'm
on.
done.
You
I
don't
don't.
hang on to it.
I do not.
No.
And to me, the important part is like just that do you understand? Do you
Yeah.
understand that this is hurtful or that this is difficult or yeah,
I wonder if that's kind of something that goes along with
the quick
that
processing.
or if it's about the apology language, but
I really think it's a combination of all of those.
mhm.
And really, like, I think that my major one is that, like I said, if I know that you're sorry, then that's really all it takes for me.
Yeah.
But I will say, if there's somebody that acts like I don't care, then
Oh yeah, well.
you're dead to me. Because
That's not untrue.
if you can't go through that first door,
Right.
then
Where-
what are
where
we
we
going to
gonna go
do?
from
Yeah,
here?
where are we going to go?
Right.
Because how are you going to take that's for how I perceive it.
Mhm.
How are you going to take responsibility for it if you're not even sorry for it?
Mhm.
Right.
Right.
But everybody feels that way about their primary
Yeah, I
their
can see that.
primary apology language.
Mhm.
But if you can't get through that first door, if you're not sorry, if you're like, I'd do it again, I'd be
Mhm.
like, you're dead to me.
Yeah.
Not really, but kind of. Like it's hard. That would be
Nah.
hard for me to work past.
Yes.
And I would say probably my biggest conflicts with people, like my hurt, and I really don't have any like that
No.
nowadays, but like back in my younger days,
Mhm.
what would be more hurtful is if somebody would be like, I'm not sorry. I'd be like,
Oh wow.
like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
sometimes in an argument when you're immature and you're talking about conflicts,
Yeah, that's true.
people kind of double down
That's true.
and they're like, I'm not sorry I did that.
Especially if they're mad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So like you just as a warning, you better like understand what people's apology languages are,
Mhm.
because it is important.
Yeah.
Like
What-
if somebody, like I can't even imagine it, but if you came to me and were expressing, even if it didn't resonate with me, and I'm like, I didn't see it that way, I don't understand,
Mhm.
I'm still always saying, oh, I'm so sorry, because I
Yeah.
wouldn't want to hurt your feelings. But could you
Yeah.
imagine me saying to you, sounds like a you problem?
no. I
I'd be
can't.
like, what? Like that would not help. That would like
No.
sharpen the disconnection
Yep.
for
Mhm.
stuff like that.
Which
So-
is a good point.
yeah.
Do you want to reconnect? Or
Yeah.
are you trying to keep the distance there?
Yeah. And I'll
Mhm.
say with our couples, we are not going to get through the next
No,
one.
I think we're
but
only
that's
gonna
okay. I'd rather discuss this at length.
Yeah.
But it brings up another good point, because sometimes when we talk to couples, it's crazy, but they will fight like they're never going to see each other again.
I know. It's true.
They're gonna you're gonna make up. You're gonna get back together, and so don't say all that stupid stuff. Don't act like you're never gonna. I'm never gonna see you again, so I'm gonna just say everything, all the things, out of anger, and not even things that I really mean, but I just feel this way in the moment.
Mhm. Yeah.
And that's hard to repair.
It is, because once you say it, you
Mhm.
can't take it back.
No.
No.
And so I will say, don't be avoidant, but when in doubt, shut your mouth. Like,
Listen,
just,
Linda.
Just stop. That's right. Just stop.
Yeah.
Because and there's times I'll say earlier on in my younger years I was very impulsive and very impulsive in letting things fly out of my mouth, and that was very damaging.
Yeah, never in my life. No, I'm kidding. I used to be.
I'm like, well, I totally was.
I'm teasing. No, I've many times had things fly out of my mouth and then thought, oh no, I have to go clean that up.
I know, and it's so cute because my youngest son, boy, he just would. He would not be able to zip it. Like if he would just have so many problems regulating his emotions when he was little. But I related because I was like that.
Yeah.
To where, one more word and you get an extra week. Word. Like I was just like that. I would be like that. It wouldn't matter. If you told me not to say, if I was mad and I was hot and you told me not to say anything,
Oh no.
it's on.
The madder I got, the more tight-lipped.
Oh, not me.
Yeah.
I was, I would like word vomit.
Yeah. No, when they were like, if you keep talking, you're going to make it worse. But
I'd be like, talk. You're added. You just added another week. And what was really hard is, like I grew up in kind of authoritarian family. It was not pretty.
it didn't go
That
well.
that was not
No.
a style that worked well.
I don't think that would turn out well for you. I don't believe. No.
I know. Rob would always tell me, man, if you were raised in my home growing up, I'd be like,
me too.
what? I'd have ran the show. He was like,
Well,
no, you
me
would have
and-
been beaten.
me and my older brother were like, the matter we got, the more tight-lipped we got, but my little brother he was more like you, and he just was
Like me and little
oh,
Parker.
there's a sign there. Let me just run over
I
it.
know.
Yeah, he couldn't. That's just
Don't
a
touch that.
personality.
What you gonna do about it?
Let's see what happens.
I know. It's almost like a challenge. And so that's why, like, when we talk about apology language and we talk about growth, you have to learn how to regulate your emotion and be able to swallow your pride and decide, do I want to be right or do I want to connect?
Yeah, that's
Huge.
good.
Okay, let me go here. I want to give an examples of what sometimes what expressing apology might look like. What I said was mean and unkind. I regret what I said, and I wish that I could take it back. If somebody said something ugly to me and they said that, you could be my friend again.
Just melt your little heart.
I would, but I can't imagine my friend saying something mean and unkind.
That's
But
true.
I
That's
think
true.
a lot of, and it really shows maturity. Like the more that we mature, like we just don't get ourselves into those situations.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, like we just,
Yeah.
we become an instant 2-year-old.
That's true.
Yep.
Never know.
We get triggered and you can become an instant
Yes.
2-year-old. If only I had thought about how much damage I was going to do by telling your secret, I feel so bad for not having taken my promise more seriously. See,
Yeah.
I'd be like, okay, I
I
forgive you.
will say with you, sometimes it's just owning it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just if I know that you recognize
Mm-hmm.
that you hurt me,
Mm-hmm.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will say one thing that's really neat is that you'll be like, all right, well, we'll just fix it. We'll
Mhm.
we'll fix it. Yeah.
Because to me, like I said, and it goes back to apology languages, what's your primary one? If you're sorry, if you regret, if you could be in that position and you would be like, oh, 100% I would do something different the next time.
Mm-hmm.
If it pains you to pain me, then we're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
But if you're just like, well, whatever, sucks to be you. We're not going to get anywhere. You're not going to be in the inner circle, that's for sure. I'm upset with myself over how I handled our disagreement. My behavior threatened our relationship, and that scares me. I regret the way I acted.
Yeah.
You could apologize.
Melt
like that
your
to me.
heart.
Yeah, there's
Oh
Isabella.
no! Don't show her little hair.
She's a little hot
We
mess
haven't
today.
fixed her hair today. Her little
I
braids came
know.
out, and her bows she tore them out. She's a
She
tomboy.
She is a tomboy.
Mhm.
Aren't you, baby girl? Easy B? She's probably no. They're like, we have to go to the bathroom. We will take y'all in a minute. But that kind of wraps up expressing regret. Next week maybe we'll get to two of them, or maybe we'll get to one. But
Okay.
I would rather go through them very, and
Yeah. There's so much to
Very specific.
apologizing, and it's not something that we talk about in depth.
No.
Very often.
Yeah.
We talk about love in depth,
Yeah.
and a lot of people are very familiar with the love languages.
Yes.
Most people could at least tell you their love
Yeah.
language, but I will say with apology language, people struggle more.
Yeah, and we just put in a lot more information than just that love, just that apology language. Like just us talking about like whether you're internal or external processor makes a big difference.
It does.
Do I talk it out loud, or do I talk it, internally?
Right.
If I'm internal processor, when I do that, I don't say anything until I've processed all the information several
right.
times. And that, for an external processor, that'd be like,
What are we doing here?
because, we
Yeah.
have to teach couples all the time, like, hey, that you have to say something, because two people have to be okay. You
Yeah.
have to say, hey, I'm going to get back to you. I recognize that, that there's some tension between us, and we're going to get back to that. But most of the time, they don't know to do that. And
Right.
so they just ignore it, and that causes a problem.
Right.
So next week we're going to get to definitely accepting responsibility. We may or may not making restitution. We might get to it since we talked about a lot of extra
Yeah.
stuff that would still apply
Right.
to all the other love apology languages.
Yep.
Well, this has been fun, right? I love helping people get skills to have better connection and better relationships, because it just makes life more fun,
Agreed.
right?
Yep.
So
Good stuff.
let's pray. Dear Lord, we just thank you for your anointing on all of our relationships. Lord, may you just put on our hearts what people need to hear. Lord, if there's ever any tension, Lord, make us aware that there's tension in a relationship. Lord, if we hurt anybody, make us aware of the hurts. And Lord, let us be graceful and gracious in receiving apologies as well as giving them. In Jesus' name, amen.
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 Good stuff.
Good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We better